Hello, I'm Steve Martin, and I did my paper on communication in organizations, which I pulled out of our textbook for this class. George Bernard Shaw famously said, "The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place." Much research has been done on the types of communication used throughout organizations and how effective they are at communicating a particular message. Groups both large and small, as well as a variety of types, both nonprofit and government, to name a few, use all types of communication to disseminate information. Some do it well, while others do it poorly or have no messaging campaign at all. I did a literature review covering a wide range of topics, from a Huffington Post article on overpraising employees to measuring the return on investment of organizations and their communication efforts internally. In researching the concepts of communication and organization, there's an expectation of discovering just how much these theories have changed the landscape of all types of our organizations. It's certainly a slippery slope, though. Other things I found out in my research. Meetings cost money. They're done in order to communicate something relevant to the audience you're trying to reach out to, either by problem solving or disseminating information. But are they truly effective? Are you truly accomplishing what you set out to by having that meeting? Questions to ask regarding those meetings that you have influence over: is everyone in that meeting necessary to be there? Are they all gleaning something from it? Are the topics relevant to what you're trying to accomplish? Another thing, social media, a huge part of our future, from leisure to work coordination. A wide range of people coordinating social events to projects at work, to just communicating displeasure or pleasure alike with the organization itself. Another example is corporate blogging. This is just one way to communicate to both internal and external audiences. But especially with blogging, like a lot of other forms of communication, it really needs to be done well to be effective. To do that, the blogger must take on the persona of the organization itself in order to really relate to the audience and to tell the organization's story. Because really that's all communication is, especially when you're pushing it down, is telling a story. What about crisis communication? It requires both internal and external factors. You not only need to deal with the crisis and manage the image of the organization, but you need to ensure that all internal communication is being handled accordingly and along the same lines as your external plan. Everything needs to match up. One of the most important factors is that communication in and of itself is not the way to solve a problem. Just because you cram two people in a room and tell them to work it out doesn't mean it's going to end well. Communication is the vehicle by which will take you to the solution, but it's got to be driven in the right direction. You have to have somebody in the driver's seat that's navigating. Two authors, Lingle and Draft, provide 6 different prescriptions for practicing managers to effectively communicate based on their media richness model. First, send non-routine and difficult communications through a rich medium, such as face-to-face. Send routine, simple communications through a lean medium, such as a memo. Use rich media, like discussions and meetings, to make your presence felt throughout the organization. Use rich media for implementing your company strategy or your organization's goals. And use multiple media on critical issues to make sure your message is heard correctly. Finally, evaluate all new technologies critically instead of just assuming that they are appropriate for the entire range of your managerial tasks. Throughout all of this, I came to some conclusions within this process. First, God designed His people to be in community. To thrive in that, there must be more than just an exchange of information. Psalm 37:30 says, "The mouth of the righteous utters wisdom, and his tongue speaks justice." There has to be two-way communication. It can't be just from the top down. As leaders, we must be willing and able to listen to those around us and figure out the best ways to communicate, both to individuals and in group settings. There are so many factors at play at this. The world of communication is rapidly changing and evolving as a new generation of employees and volunteers enter adulthood. The transmission of information amongst these different groups must adapt to all the changes that are taking place around them. This paper explored different types of communication among various organizations and how the effectiveness of the communication affects the group, both individually and as a whole. The consensus is the more effective the messaging in an organization, the healthier the organization is. Communication is vital to an organization. It can build up or tear down whatever you're trying to lead. It's not the only factor in managing a business, though, or running an organization, but it is crucial nonetheless. Just because something is efficient certainly doesn't make it effective. The definition of efficiency, according to dictionary.com, is achieving maximum productivity with minimum wasted effort. Effectiveness is defined as being successful in producing a desired or intended result. Being successful in producing a desired or an intended result. The difference there is the word successful. A great example of this is email. I would think most people would say email is a very efficient way of communicating things, but not always the most effective. Once you hit send, you can never get it back. Do you really want that email you just sent to be on the front page of the New York Times? Every method of communication needs to be evaluated and scrutinized to ensure that the message is both transmitted and received correctly. The effectiveness of your communication will determine the health of your organization. Thanks for listening.